One of my favorite things to hear from people is, I usually don't like that, but I liked those collards, but I liked those grits, and that's something I definitely strive to change people's perception of what they think they know of Southern food.
I'm Delia Colon, and this is The Zest. Citrus, seafood, Spanish flavor, and Southern charm. The Zest celebrates cuisine and community in the Sunshine State. Today, brunch so hard. It's a meal so beloved that it counts as 2 meals. I'm talking, of course, about brunch. And for decades, no list of Tampa Bay's best brunch spots was complete without Oystercatchers. Opened in 1986, the waterfront restaurant sits on the property of Grand Hyatt Tampa Bay, overlooking the actual Tampa Bay. Now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Oystercatchers' legendary Sunday brunch buffet went away, and it stayed away. Until now. On February 1st of this year, the restaurant celebrated the return of its brunch. At the helm was Chef de Cuisine Shelby Farrell. Farrell grew up on Florida's Gulf Coast, influenced by her family's roots in Biloxi, Mississippi, and Naples, Italy. Yep, the other Naples. She brings these influences to the Oystercatchers menu, not just for brunch, but throughout every meal, all day, every day. And before Oystercatchers, Farrell served as Chef de Cuisine at Four Flamingos in Orlando. You may also recognize her from TV. She's been on Moveable Feast and Guy's Grocery Games. Chef Farrell stopped by our studio to discuss what makes a good brunch, regardless of whether it's in a restaurant or at home. She also shares how her love of gardening and photography influence her work in the kitchen. And she reveals the secret to putting together a delicious meal at a moment's notice.
Oystercatchers is a legacy seafood restaurant on the property of the Grand Hyatt Tampa Bay.
What do you mean legacy restaurant?
So it has been there since 1986. We're about to have our 40th anniversary this year.
Oh, wow. Okay. I have had the pleasure of enjoying Oystercatchers brunch a couple times, which I do want to talk to you about. But so it's a restaurant inside of a hotel that's on the causeway, and people in Tampa Bay know where this is. It's kind of close to the airport. It's got the beautiful waterfront view. But do you think in general, hotel restaurants have a bad reputation? And if so, why?
Yeah, definitely. Well, so one of the things about Oystercatchers that I think is unique is that while we're on the property of the hotel, we're not connected to it. So we are visually and, functionally operating as an independent restaurant. And so that allows us to really break away from a lot of the restrictions of a hotel restaurant, being inside of the building and all of the caveats that come along with that. But I think in general, hotel restaurants tend to get a bad rep just because they can be a little bit whitewashed, a little bit streamlined, often sacrificing creativity and originality for being accessible to everyone at the hotel. And one of the great things about Hyatt, and one of the things that has kept me with them for so long, is they have a real focus on creating unique dining experiences. We call them signature restaurants. And so most of the hotels have a signature restaurant. And those spaces really have very little corporate oversight. They are free range. I have complete creative control at the restaurant. And so it really allows us to keep it organic, keep it connected to current trends, to the wants and needs of our clientele, and allows us to operate like an independent restaurant.
Gotcha. Okay, let's talk about the Oystercatchers brunch.
Yes.
One of my mouth is watering just saying the words Oystercatchers brunch. I remember a few years ago, my husband asked me, where do you want to go for your birthday? I was like, Oystercatchers. Where do you want to go for girls' day out? Oystercatchers. Talk to me about the brunch. Paint a picture for me. Somebody is like you and did not eat breakfast today, and just make them want it.
Yeah. The brunch is what Oystercatchers was famous for decades. Like I said, 1986, the hotel opened. And from 86 until 2020, the brunch ran. And we have just now brought it back. Actually, beginning of February, we're back in full swing every single Sunday. And it really is a grand brunch buffet experience, something that you used to see a lot more often, especially at hotels, but it's really died off, especially in the post-COVID, restaurant industry. And that includes multiple live action stations that we change every week.
Action? Wait,
yeah.
Say more.
Yeah, exactly. So that could be a carving station, that could be a pasta station, risotto, you name it. This past week, we did a Lebanese-inspired swordfish carving station, and then we did a chilaquiles station, so a breakfast nacho with fresh carved picanha steak on the station. So those are kind of the highlights. That's the centerpiece. That's what I love most because we get to change it every single week and keep it really interesting, which is something that's unique to the relaunch of the brunch. On top of that, we have a breakfast station that includes kind of all your classics. We have a massive raw bar, a noshing table with charcuteries, deviled eggs, snacks, a toast bar, a salad bar, and then a whole pastry station as well.
Oh, whew, okay.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I'm full hearing about it. Okay, breakfast, a lot of people say, is one of the easiest meals to cook at home, especially if you're doing like scrambled eggs and toast and fruit or something like that. So why do you think people still go out for brunch? Obviously, I don't have live action stations in my house, but I could put together a brunch in my house. So why do people still get so excited to go out to brunch?
I think it's a combination of the selection, the options. You have so many things that you wouldn't really be able to throw together so easily at home, right? And then it's the atmosphere. So there's something about getting together with friends, getting together with family, first start of the day, getting to ring in your Sunday, maybe start off with a little mimosa or Bloody Mary, starting off your Sunday in such a fun, exciting way. And also not having to do anything yourself, not having to have those dirty dishes, not having to do that work. People love a good brunch.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's relaxed. It's kind of the best of both worlds because when you go out to dinner, sometimes you feel like you have to get really dressed up or, the waiter is kind of like snooty. But when you go out to brunch, it's like, I'm out in public, but I'm still relaxed.
Yeah, it's definitely a different atmosphere. It is very, like you said, relaxed is the best way to describe it. You get to come in and you take your time. You get to kind of nosh around the room, and it's certainly a much different experience than going out to dinner.
Do you have a tip for making brunch at home? I had my book club over a couple weeks ago for a brunch, and I felt like I don't really know what I'm doing.
Treat it a lot like you would any kind of party, have some snacks, have your fruit plate, have some cheeses and meats, have those little casual finger foods that you can pre-make. You don't have to, be doing them live when your friends are there. You have them in the fridge ready to go. And then just make something simple to go along with it, an egg dish or something like that everybody's going to like.
Okay. What's your favorite brunch cocktail?
Ooh, I love a good Bloody Mary. I went well into my 30s before I liked a Bloody Mary. I always thought I didn't like them. I grew up in the South where Bloody Marys are such a thing. And I don't know what my qualm is because I love pickles, I love spice, I love all of that stuff. And now I've come around. I understand.
Okay, I don't particularly like a Bloody Mary, so maybe I need to...
You got to try the one at Oystercatchers.
I guess so.
You do. We make our Bloody Mary mix from scratch, and it's phenomenal. We're really into pickles and ferments, and we make all of our spice mixes in-house. And so we utilize a lot of that, and we make this really just funky, umami, spicy, delicious Bloody Mary mix that's over the top.
Okay, I'll be the judge.
Yeah, you got to let me know.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for indulging my brunch questions.
Absolutely.
And then I want to hear about the rest of the menu, because to be honest, I've only been to Oystercatchers for brunch. And the description says the restaurant's menu blends American Southern comfort food with your Italian heritage.
Yeah, so I grew up on the Florida Gulf Coast. My family's all from Biloxi, Mississippi, but second generation from Naples, Italy. And Southern coastal seafood, that's my bread and butter. That's what I love. And so that it's very much what Oystercatchers specializes in. We overlook Tampa Bay. Just beyond our line of sight is the Gulf. We try to make sure that we really focus on that fact, the fact that we have all of this amazing seafood that's just right at arm's length from us. And so I tie a lot of that back into the menu, more the Southern coastal than anything, that New Orleans, Gulf coastal, that style cuisine. There's a lot of really, unique nuances about that region of the culinary world. So we feature things like a prawn etouffee, which is one of my personal favorite dishes on the dinner menu right now. So very much influenced by that New Orleans, Biloxi style cuisine. And then things like, we have triple tail on the menu. Triple tail is a personal favorite fish of mine as well. You see it a lot on the Gulf Coast. You see it up in North Florida more. It comes straight out of the Gulf of Mexico. But for some reason, Tampa, Central Florida, you just don't see it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, you talked about how your family's from Mississippi and Italy.
Yeah.
What kinds of foods did you grow up eating?
A real mix. My mom's dad is from Alabama. And so we grew up eating, he was a fisherman and a hunter, and we grew up eating a lot of fried catfish and seafood boils and all of that from his side. And then on my nonna, my mom's side, we really had all the Italian classics. So she's from Naples. So Southern Italy, seafood forward, there's a lot of similarities between American Southern and Italian Southern cuisine. And so we grew up eating a lot of that, your pastas, you name it, all of the classic dishes, gnocchis. Some of my earliest memories are making gnocchi with my nonna, being too short to reach the counter, standing on top of a chair and learning how to roll them on the back of a fork. It's actually one of my first memories. A lot of things that you don't hear of too with Italian foods, ferments and pickles. We do a dish called melanzane sotto olio. It's one of my all-time favorites. I make it at home all the time. And it's just a grilled, pickled eggplant that you spread over bread. And I actually grow a specific kind of eggplant in my garden just to make this dish.
Oh, okay. I do want to ask you about your green thumb. What you're describing sounds incredible. Do you think that Southern food is underrated? I mean, this is interesting because you're a chef at a hotel restaurant or a restaurant on a hotel property with a background in Southern food. And these are you have a lot of strikes against you. People have a certain opinion about hotel food. They have a certain opinion about Southern food. They think it's like Duke's mayo on white bread.
Yeah.
So is there a particular Southern food that you think is underrated?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think there are a lot of things within Southern cuisine that, are underappreciated or seen as lowbrow, collards. Collards are a great example. I almost always have collards featured on my menu somewhere. We're actually in a lull right now, but we have some new menu items coming out that will be featuring collards, and I'm excited to get them back on the menu.
Oh, we're big fans of collards here. Have you ever been to the
Yes.
Tampa Bay Collard Green Festival?
I haven't. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Dang it, it just
What?
passed.
Oh my gosh.
It's every February, President's Day weekend in South St. Pete. We were there.
What?
WUSF had a booth, and it's the best. You should be a judge.
I can't believe I didn't know about that. I'm still kind of new to Tampa Bay. I just moved here a year ago and have been headfirst into the revitalization of the restaurant. So I will note that for the future. I can't believe I didn't know about that.
Mark your calendar. We'll connect you. We're good friends with the founders. So how do you like to prepare your collards?
The classic stewed is phenomenal, right? I could eat that most days of the week. But personally, in my restaurants, two different ways that I tend to gravitate towards. I love doing a grilled collard. So I blanch them first to kind of take a little bit of the bitterness away and make them tender. And then we just dress them with a good quality, lemon-infused oil and char grill them. And you get this, crunchy, smoky element, less of the slimy part that I think that people are maybe a little bit afraid of with collards. I absolutely love them that way. And then another way is actually using them in pestos.
Yes.
So yes, we have on our upcoming spring menu update, we have a boiled peanut and collard green pesto that's going to be going live, and I am obsessed with it.
Oh, if people could see my face right now, my jaw is like on the floor. That sounds incredible. You have kids.
I don't.
Okay. I have kids, and sometimes parents have to be like sneaky with how we get kids to eat something that they think they don't like or that they think they already know and understand. And it seems like that's what you're doing for guests at Oystercatchers. Oh, you think you know collard greens? Well, guess what? I'm going to show you how classy they can be.
Yeah, for sure. I think another good example of that is grits. Grits tend to get a bad rap, and it's a texture thing, I think, for a lot of people, just like collards. It's, or again, people think it's lowbrow. And we have rice grits that we feature on our menu. They're using Hungarian pen grits. They're grown, actually, it is a Jupiter rice grit grown right in Jacksonville. So we get them fresh from the farm. And it has so much more bite than, a quick grit, like something you'd have at a diner. And we finish them with our house-made pimento cheese. And they are phenomenal and definitely change up people's expectation. And it's one of my favorite things to hear from people is, I usually don't like that, but I liked those collards, but I liked those grits, and that's something I definitely strive to change people's perception of what they think they know of Southern food.
Oh, what a compliment.
Yes.
Okay, so I love the image of you standing up on the chair. I feel like stools were not a thing when we were kids, and now
not at my house.
My kids have a stool. Back in my day, we just had the chair in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So the image of you rolling the gnocchi with your grandmother, standing on the chair, that's like such a vivid image for me. And then from there, how did you decide to make cooking your career, and how did you learn, how did you sort of fill in those gaps?
It's truly the only thing that I ever wanted to pursue. So on top of, the just culture of cooking in my family, and that also reaches out to my dad, my other side of the family. They are diehard LSU people, and they go to every single game. And if you've ever been to an LSU game, cookouts you go more for the cookout than you do for the game half the time. And so tailgating and cooking with my family in that atmosphere was a huge part of my childhood as well. And that's really where I learned to love things like etouffee, gumbo, crawfish, all of that. I was also fortunate enough to grow up with an uncle who owned a restaurant, and he owned a fine dining steak and seafood restaurant just outside Biloxi. And so I was cutting my teeth with him from age 14.
Wow. Okay, so you were born for this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not joking. It's all I've ever done. Every job I've ever had has been in restaurants. The only time I've done anything other than be a cook or a chef was being a server at a restaurant I also cooked at.
Oh my gosh, you did all the things. Okay, well, that might be all you've done professionally, but I know you have a lot of hobbies.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Okay, you mentioned having a green thumb.
Yes.
So what are you growing, and how has gardening changed your relationship with cooking?
Ooh, good question. So, I love to garden. When I lived in Orlando, I was really involved in the community garden scene. Orlando actually has the most community gardens per capita of any city in the United States.
Whoa.
Yeah, crazy fact, right? I used to be really involved with that, and also the Arboretum at UCF. And so gardening is a huge passion of mine. Right now, I just moved, so my garden's kind of in flux.
No judgment. And you know what? When did you move here? We're recording this in March.
So I moved here November of 2015. before, but I just moved again within Tampa about a month and a half ago.
Okay, and we had a freeze. This winter was rough.
Brutal, and last winter too.
And everything died.
Yes.
So even if you had this beautiful garden, you would still be starting from scratch. For sure. But let's see, what am I growing right now? Right now I'm growing Swiss chard. I'm growing Japanese eggplant, Roma tomatoes. I just planted some loofah, which, I love growing loofah because it is edible when they're young, and then the zucchini almost. And then if you let them grow all the way, you have a loofah sponge. I didn't know they were edible.
Yeah. When they're about an inch to 2 inches long, they eat just like zucchini.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
All right. So you get your hands in the dirt and then you go in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And that gardener is still with you. So how does she come along into the kitchen with you?
Yeah, for sure. I've always been really invested in kind of, I guess, the farm to table aspect, and we're not a farm to table restaurant. I don't claim that because that would mean that we would really need to have a huge percentage of our product coming from local farms for me to feel comfortable claiming that title,
Is there an actual definition of a farm to table? Because everything started at a farm at one point.
Yeah. I think it's one of those kind of overused, kind of hot button phrases. But there is, to me, a true farm to table restaurant is getting at least the vast majority of their product from local farms, and not sourcing from Cisco or Fresh Point or any of these big, massive distributors. Getting away from the big distributors and going straight to the source. I think that's the big part of farm to table, is getting it straight from the person that grew it. Whether that's 10 minutes down the road or across the country, if you're sourcing it direct. Being somebody who loves to garden and who loves to grow their own food as much as possible, I definitely have an appreciation for farm fresh product, and I try to build those relationships with my local farming community as much as I can.
For sure. Okay, I have to, before I let you go, ask you about cooking on TV.
Oh, yeah.
And being I don't even know if this is actually a cooking show, but I got to ask you about this. So you were on Moveable Feast.
I was.
And Guy's Grocery Games
yes.
with Guy Fieri. Okay, so obviously those shows are for entertainment value, but is there anything we can take away from them and use in our home cooking?
Yeah. I mean, both of them are definitely, there's an entertainment aspect to both, but they are at their heart cooking shows, right? And so, Guy's Grocery Games, I think, is a great example because you are literally running around a grocery store. Everything that's cooked in that show is products that you can find at the store yourself, and seeing how people can take limited product, limited options, and spin that into an incredible dish. I think that is something that people can learn from in their home cooking too, because you don't always have to have every little ingredient. A lot of times, if you think about it critically, you can get creative and spin with what you have on hand.
Yeah. Are there any ingredients that you always keep on hand that makes that easier?
Just having a wide variety of spices. My spice cabinet is insane, and I have probably every little spice from every country that you can think of. And it's a collection that has taken many, many years to build, but having just all of that on hand makes it so easy because I can then take whatever protein and vegetables I have and spin it, but I have the spices that make it taste as the original dish was intended.
What's the spice you have that I probably don't have?
I mentioned it earlier. Za'atar.
Yep.
Za'atar.
I don't think I have za'atar.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people do. So it's a blend of a specific kind of Middle Eastern oregano, sumac, and sesame seeds. So you get a lot of savory notes, and then you also get this bright, citrusy, lemon zest kind of flavor from the sumac. And it's delicious. Roasted vegetables, chicken, eggs. It's so versatile.
Oh, I'm so hungry. Okay, we have to end this because you never eat breakfast.
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm
my
ready
time
for lunch. Okay, but before I let you go, you started the conversation by mentioning that you work holidays because a lot of people go out to eat. But for some people, holiday meals mean at home. And
Yes.
it means waking up at like 4 a.m. and putting the turkey in the oven and basically falling asleep at dinner because you're so exhausted. So talk to that person who has never had a holiday meal in a restaurant. You know, Easter's coming up, Mother's Day, things like that. Why is it okay to eat holiday dinner in a restaurant?
I think you kind of named it. When you cook at home, you put so much of your time and energy into that meal. And there's a lot to be said about that. You know, the family classics, we all have so many memories that are tied into our family holiday meals, right? But I always think about my mom, you know, growing up on holidays. You barely would see her, right? She's in the kitchen the whole time. She's not getting to enjoy herself. She's not getting to kind of enjoy those casual moments throughout the day because she is, you know, head first creating that food for everyone else to enjoy. So coming to a restaurant, it allows everybody to get to spend that time together, right? Everybody's on an even playing field. Everyone's there. Everyone's present. And it gives room for, I think, like I said, everybody to really enjoy themselves and enjoy their time.
That's beautiful. Well, I enjoyed my time with you.
Yes.
That's Chef Shelby Farrell of Oystercatchers. I know this conversation made you hungry. It definitely made me hungry. So Alexandria Ebron and I had to hightail it over to Oystercatchers just to make sure the brunch was as good as we remembered. And it turns out it's not. It's actually way better, if you can believe that. So look in the show notes of this episode or head to our website, thezestpodcast.com, to find a link to Oystercatchers so you can make a reservation for the special occasion in your life. And you can see video from the Oystercatchers brunch on our social media. Just follow us on Facebook or Instagram at The Zest Podcast. I'm Dalia Colon. I produce The Zest with Andrew Lucas and Alexandria Ebron. The Zest is a production of WUSF. Copyright 2026, part of the NPR network.